it's just the place to be right now. I mean, it's the best environment backstage that I personally experienced, and I got some experience in all the locker rooms.
Just signed a brand new multi-year deal with Impact Wrestling. He is a former Impact X Division champion, two-time X Division champion. Ace Austin joins us now. Ace, congratulations on the new contract.
Thank you very much. I'm super excited, but it's unfinished business. It's like the two-time X Division champion. Let's see what else we got here. 2021 Super X Cup. We got 2020 Match of the Year, 2020 X Division Star of the Year. But that list isn't long enough for me. Okay, we still got lots more ahead here with Impact Wrestling.
Well, let's talk about it, man. I mean, you're re-signing a multi-year contract, so Impact's going to be your home for the foreseeable future. What led you to re-signing? Why did you feel like you had more to do in Impact Wrestling?
I wish that I could give a very different answer than the initial question. Why did I sign with Impact in the first place? The answer is pretty much the same. It's just the place to be right now. I mean, it's the best environment backstage that I personally experienced, and I got some experience in all the locker rooms, back in 2018, and it's the place that has been my home, and it's been such a launching point for me. And like I said, I feel like there's some unfinished business. It wasn't time to leave yet after 3 years. I accomplished a lot, but I didn't accomplish everything that I said I would, and that's very important to me.
Well, I mean, it's obviously important to have goals and to continue to check things off your list. So congratulations again to you, man, on your new contract. Well, let's talk about the X Division, though. I don't think you and I are too far apart in age. When I was growing up and watching Impact Wrestling, the X Division was the reason I was watching, right? To see all the guys like the AJ Styles or the Chris Sabins and Alex Shelley's and everybody going out there and Samoa Joe, for that matter, proving that, the X Division meant no limits, correct? What was it about the X Division that appealed to you? Was it a similar thing? And was that always your vision for coming to Impact Wrestling? Like, I want to be a part of the X Division. That X Division title means a lot to me.
That's definitely, of course, that's a huge reason why I watched it as well. When I was really young, wrestling wasn't super popular in where I grew up. So it took a while for me to really get to open my eyes to Impact and to the X Division and to learn all those things. So when I was, enlightened to those things, of course, that's exactly where I saw myself, headed. Sometimes I'm a very big picture kind of thinker. I'm definitely I'm a patient kind of worker. I definitely know how to kind of set myself up for the right place, right time, sort of thing. And that's been a huge part of how I excelled so fast. I mean, April 4th is going to be my 7-year anniversary in wrestling, only 7 years in the business. So, seeing the trajectory of things and when Impact displayed an interest in me back in 2018, I knew that was going to be like the first thing I checked off my list. I knew X Division champion and X Division staple was going to be, exactly where my place was. But I don't like boxes, and that's not something that I'm going to stay in, right?
But talk about the significance of winning the title, right? I mean, we talked about the lineage of the champions who came before you, and, just to win that and have your name cemented amongst those guys must have meant the world to you.
Not even just to have my name on the list of champions, but to have a respectable and, memorable title reign was also really important. I didn't want to just be another name on the list. I wanted there to be I want people to see why I was the champion, and getting to do that in front of the sold out crowd in Chicago, in a ladder match, no less. Cause as a kid, big fan of ladder matches. I always saw myself kind of being a ladder match guy. So getting to win the X Division title in a ladder match, no less, just in that situation, at such a young age too, second youngest in history. Huge, absolutely huge. Especially the age thing seems to just have some importance to me. Just because I am so young, getting to like tackle all these goals at such a young age is really like has kind of become one of my like motives, really like motivations. But yeah, like you said, the history behind the X Division title is really a big reason why I wanted to start with Impact, like I said. So getting to do that, and as I said, getting to have the kind of reign that people will remember is exactly the kind of wrestler Ace Austin is, right?
Absolutely, man. And you know what? Let's talk about the kind of wrestler that Ace Austin is. I always find it fascinating where people's influences come from and how they formulate the character that they portray on screen. It's something that I know about you is you had a background in musical theater. Is that correct? Yeah. Right? And here's the thing. I participate in musical theater as well. So many skills you can learn that are easily transferable to the pro wrestling world. Talk to me about your background and that, what you did apply to your in-ring persona and in-ring performance.
So I started doing musical theater way back in like my middle school years. I wanted to start like a little younger, but I was kind of hesitant to do so. You know, I was like a little bit afraid of getting made fun of, right? But then I kind of thought about how much I had a love for professional wrestling growing up, and I never let anybody disrespect me for that. So that love for wrestling translated into, you know, gave me the push I needed to get into musical theater. And when I finally did, it was just like, it's so incredible. If it wasn't wrestling, I feel like that's kind of where I would be spending a lot of my time right now, would be in a musical theater, because like it was just such a, oh man, one of those environments that's so special. There's nothing else like it. And wrestling is the same. It's one of those things where you can't find anything that is the same. So doing musical theater all those years, I did it. So I did it from middle school all the way through high school. And then I did it for a few years after I graduated high school. I did community theater and things like that until wrestling, you know, my schedule really just took over everything and I didn't have time for it anymore. But I would say that musical theater is the reason that I don't get like nervous before I go out and perform anymore as a professional wrestler, because getting to experience all that when I was younger and just that feeling being in front of a crowd gives me, it's not nervousness. It's not at all. It's total like confidence. It's where I'm supposed to be. So musical theater helped me discover that, and I was able to take that into wrestling and just like have that confidence in the ring every time, and just not the nervousness.
You know, I've always thought pro wrestling is like the ultimate entertainment boot camp, right? I mean, it's a live television broadcast a lot of the times, or a TV show. You have to know camera angles. You have to also, though, worry about the crowd that's inside the arena and getting reactions out of them. Musical theater is, again, it's all about timing, the reactions, hitting your spot, hitting your cue, you know, acting and reacting. There's so many parallels there. It makes perfect sense when I found out that about you, that you are the wrestler that you are. So it's crazy about musical theater. Any memorable shows that you participated in?
100%. When I was a young man, I was a big fan of the High School Musical. So we got to do that. We got to do that when I was getting ready to go into high school. So it was really appropriate. It was cool. So that one was just special for me personally. But beyond that, we did Grease, which was really amazing, of course. My personal favorites were Guys and Dolls. I did that in my 10th grade year. That was really, really cool. And I got to play an awesome character for that. And then I did Les Mis, which is a classic. And it was the first time I'd ever done a show without an orchestra. Was doing Les Mis. We had to do the whole show to a track. So we had to have, our timing had to be in line with the track. We didn't have an orchestra to go with us. So that was a really different experience, but incredible because of the show, nonetheless, of course. The most special probably would be my senior year. We did Titanic. So it was the final time I was going to be on stage with a lot of my high school class that I had been on stage with all these years. So a lot of the emotions involved in the show it was so easy for us to like cry on stage and just like be really just with each other, because it was the last time we were going to get to do that. So that was really special. Titanic for sure. Yeah, I think those are probably my favorites.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And you know, also again, you know, understanding motivations of a character lends itself to great psychology in the ring. So we could talk about musical theater a lot, but we're here to talk about pro wrestling. Of course, you're going to be participating in the IPWF as your character Rip Rayzor.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that, because again, you're kind of getting to branch out and being a little bit more theatrical.
Oh, that was when the IPWF thing came up the first time around. I was so like, I just had no idea where it was going to go. I was like, I can't believe we get to do this. You know, it's like, that's another thing, being part of Impact Wrestling, getting to do things like this. Like, we really get to step outside the box and have some fun. I didn't know, they didn't give me any ideas for Rip Rayzor like ahead of time. It was like I showed up the day of and it was like, this is what we're doing. And it just so happened that I had jeans that could work for it. And I went to the makeup lady backstage and I was like, I don't, like, what can you do to me here? So it was just born in the moment. And then when they were bringing it back, I was like, okay, now we can start to have some like real fun with this. We can start to invest a little bit of more thought into this. So I'm really excited to do that. Yeah, where it works with the colored hair and everything, I get to just step into a different parallel. Absolutely,
man. Absolutely. When you think about your run, though, in Impact Wrestling, like you said, you already had a match of the year. Such a crazy thing to have so young in your career. And it was a match that you were involved with. I believe Eric Young was in it, Rich Swann, Eddie Edwards, and yep. I think that was it with Trey.
And Trey, yeah, my arch nemesis.
Your arch nemesis. But let's talk about those other three guys for a moment. Obviously, they've all had their own things that they've added to the business, and they all have their own persona and their own aura around them as far as Impact Wrestling. But what I want to ask you is, we do a thing with Sportskeeda. It's called Faction, Feud, or Friends, right? So one of them you'd want to team with, one of them you'd want to have a feud with, one of them you just want to be buddies with. And I just want to ask you about those other three guys, Rich Swann, Eric Young, Eddie Edwards. Who would be your faction mate, who would be your friend, and who would you feud with?
Ooh, man, there's a lot of different answers I can give you there. I mean, there's some good combos. Part of me wants to say feud with Rich Swann, because there's magic there that Impact Wrestling hasn't even seen yet. We haven't competed one-on-one or anything, so there's definitely magic there. But on another hand, Swann's a bro, so it would be good to be friends with him. All right, so faction, feud, friend. I think faction with Eric Young. He's clearly very successful in team situations and faction situations. He's a good leader. So I think faction with Eric Young. I think it's going to have to be feud with Eddie Edwards, because there's already been magic there in the feud. So let's go feud with Rich Swann and maybe flip the coin and be friends with Eddie Edwards. Not that I think that could ever happen these days. I don't know if he could ever forgive me for the past, but yeah, I think that's my answer. I think I would go.
I dig it. So we're feuding with Swann, or we're buddies with Eddie Edwards, and we're doing a faction with Eric Young. I like it. Another thing, I always love to know significance of entrance, significance of appearance, significance of your ring attire. And another thing that's interesting about you is you tape your wrist like a lot of wrestlers do, but you always have something specific on your wrist tape. Can you talk to us a little bit about exactly what you write on your wrist tape?
I certainly can. It's something that I actually want to start incorporating into my merchandise a little bit. I feel like it'll be something similar to like editions of comic books, right? Comic book has kind of been the niche for me for a long time. So I think this will help translate to that. But to answer your question, of course, on my left wrist, I write 576, which is a number that just has some significance to me. It's almost something of a lucky number, you could say. It's actually the store number of the Hot Topic that I worked at when I was growing up in Pennsylvania. I got a job there when I was 14. It was my first taste of like personal responsibility. Yeah, and it was super supportive. The money I made from that helped pay for training. Just sort of like a grassroots thing. It was the 576. So I put that on the inside of my left wrist tape. I've only wrestled one match in my whole career without that number, and it's one of the worst matches I've ever had. So now it's like, now it's almost a necessity thing. On the inside of my right wrist, I write my match number. I keep track of every match I've ever had. I have them all written down in a book. I almost lost that book when my apartment burned down, but I actually was able to recover it. So still have all my records intact. I'm up to 700 and about 750. I'm about to hit 750, I believe. 750 matches in 7 years. A lot of them have been big matches, main events. Even.
That's right, brother.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the numbers. I'm thinking about doing the match number as like almost an addition number. Like when especially seeing me live, you might get this was the match number. It's like the 8x10 you got, or something like that. It's in the works. I'm trying to figure it out.
I like it. I like that you're thinking things through. Again, man, you've had an incredible career in Impact Wrestling thus far. You're going to continue to have a great career. Again, April the 23rd is going to be Rebellion in Poughkeepsie, New York. Big pay-per-view. I see you're sporting their shirt already. The Multiverse of Matches. Yes, the Multiverse of Matches goes on today when people are hearing this, of course, in Dallas, Texas. And that's going to be my last question to you. I mean, you're a part of a big weekend. It's the big show in Dallas, Texas. There's, I think, last I counted, like 75 different wrestling-related events happening in the next 3 days. Just talk to me about taking that all in. You're in Dallas as we speak. Taking it all in and kind of what the weekend means to you overall.
Actually, I'm glad you asked me that. I really am. Because I just put a post up. Facebook reminded me of something that happened 5 years ago, a few days ago, as of this interview. I don't remember when I posted exactly, but 5 years ago, this week was the first time I ever flew on a plane. First time I ever got on a plane. And it was to go to WrestleCon weekend in Orlando back in 2017, was it?
Yeah,
18?
Sounds right to me.
Yeah. That was my first time ever getting on a plane, and it was the only ticket that I've ever paid for my whole career. The only time I ever had to pay for my own plane ticket was that weekend, and it was the weekend of taking a chance on yourself. And you know what I'm saying? Obviously, there's all eyes are on this weekend. Somebody's gonna see something that happens on all these shows. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's just so much happening. You have to have your name in the mix with something like this. And I knew that even back then. I was surrounded by people who had the same mindset. So I went with a bunch of young, hungry guys, and we did what we could to make connections and show up. And that's the beauty of this weekend is even if you don't have things scheduled, which for me has always been the case, for some reason, I get booked so consistently for appearances outside of Impact, and Impact has such a consistent schedule. I'm always so busy. But when WrestleCon weekend rolls around, for some reason, I don't have 11 shows like some of these guys do.
Absolutely, Ace. And you know what, man? You're going to have many more stories to talk about over your next several years in Impact Wrestling, a couple more matches of the year, maybe a run at that world title. I think the future real bright.
I still got the youngest man to hold the world championship, and that is still the number one goal.
That's the number one goal. I think that as you've shown, you've been able to achieve everything you've wanted to thus far. So I think that's in the cards. It's inevitable. It's destined. He is Ace Austin. Again, congratulations on the new multi-year deal, and enjoy the weekend there in Dallas, Texas, brother.